Okay, right hand stuff. So I want to preface by suggesting, above all, that you try everything you can think of, give it a fair shot, and figure out what works for you. All our bodies are different, all of our playing styles are different. Um, so that's really the best thing that you can do for yourself. Having said that, I've got some pieces of advice that I think are universally valuable. Um, so today, looking at right hand stuff, I'll just start with the pick. And my advice there is kind of useless. Try everything, try everyone, every single pick. I've tried hundreds of picks. Um, I've landed on a couple that I really like for electric guitar gigging. And if you're curious, I like the Texturized Jazz 3 because it has texture and I drop it less. But I mostly play with the Kirk Hammett signature because it is purple. And yeah, Kurt, you should respond to the invoice for this shout out. But in any case, I found that I liked rigid picks. Part of that is because I play most of my chording with my fingers, and I'll get to how I do that, get to that from holding a pick. Um, but you might be different. You might like to strum with a pick. So try everything and see what you like. I have about 20 picks in roster that I use for different tonal aspects and different rigidity in recording settings and on acoustic instruments. Um, so again, just having that toolkit and understanding what each one has to offer, I think, is the best way to go. So as far as pick holding, I have three main techniques that I use, or three main ways that I hold a pick. Here's number one. Here's my pick, and I'm playing fingerstyle. Pretty easy. I do that quite a bit. I play a lot of fingerstyle. Um, secondly, oh, yes. So that's fingerstyle. And then if you use a pick, I recommend you always have spares on your instrument just ready to go. On something with a pick guard, I'll loosen one screw and slide a couple underneath on either side. That way, in the situation where I drop one, I've got one ready to go. Strongly recommend that. I consider that a mandate. Um, this guitar does not have a pick guard, so I want to show you how I'm going to put one on there. Here's some electrical tape. If it comes in purple, I get it in purple. Just going to cut off a little piece. Now I'm going to fold half of it down so half of the strip is not sticky. And I'm probably going to do a bad job here because I wanted you to watch while I do it. I might optimize it after I record. But here we go. Not sticky on the top, sticky on the bottom. Slap it right here. Now I've got a pick holder. So what I will do to optimize this is to add another non-sticky strip at the top to make it taller, and also a couple on the sides here to hold it more tightly to the body, both so the pick is less likely to fall out. Strongly recommend that, having a pick ready to go. So as far as pick holding techniques, I have two that I use, and I have practiced switching between them. I'll get to how I hold my pick when I am picking shortly, but as I foreshadowed, I do a lot of rhythm playing with my fingers, and then I switch over to a pick for single note melodic lines, etc. And I just do that, and now my thumb is free. Pick, fingers. So I've practiced that a lot to make it really quick, so I can do a. Whether that's something that's useful for you, I don't know, but that's something that I like to do. And I'll just illustrate how I play a lot of my rhythm and tell you why I like it. Just to show it to you as something to try and see if it also works for you. Maybe it doesn't. So for my rhythm playing, I usually pocket my pick in my first finger like that and play. I like that. I find that I have more control. I have more dynamics when I use my fingers. I prefer the sound of the nail. I especially love having that thumb for the upstroke because I play a lot of funk, things like that with 16th notes. That's just a preference of mine. You may prefer playing that kind of stuff with a pick. That's great. When I play that kind of stuff with a pick, I prefer a softer pick, so that's also part of my gig conscious decision making. I'm using the rigid pick because I prefer it for control while playing single notes, solos, things of that nature. So that makes me less inclined to use the rigid pick for strumming because I prefer a thinner pick, again, for more flexibility and dynamics. That's just a preference thing. But in any case, doing this and then this really works for me to switch between how I play rhythm and lead. And yes, I have sat around and just practiced that so I can do it without thinking about it and have them ready to go. Okay, as far as actually holding the pick, my recommendation for everyone is to eliminate motion below your elbow as much as possible. Pick from your elbow to the greatest extent that you can. And the reason for that is your wrist and especially your fingers have a lot of range of motion. The elbow is really just a one-way hinge. So even though it is supported by more powerful muscles, counterintuitively that may suggest that it gives you less control because it has more power. Really just having that one way that it can move allows you to fine-tune that movement a lot more than if you're trying to coordinate motion in a 3D plane, 2D plane, and or if you're trying to keep one axis rigid while moving only in the other. That's what I've found. I've tried a lot of different arm usage for picking. That's the one that really works for me. Try everything, see what you like. So that's good for me. And then for holding the pick, I spent my first 2 years after I started playing guitar without a guitar instructor like this, and I started to realize it was holding me back in speed and dexterity and control. And again, I think that's because the range of motion for fingers wiggling around is more than if I make something rigid with my hand where my thumb and my first finger just sit still, they don't do anything. This is the one that I really like. And I do palm muting for tone, but I don't really rely on the guitar for stabilization. Some people love that pinky. Some teachers will tell you that's bad. I will tell you if that's what works for you, then that's what works for you, and I'm all for it. I feel like there's, one other advantage to something like this, and actually I read long ago when I was first learning, I've never actually looked to see if he did do this or not, but I heard that Van Halen did a similar thing, but with his middle finger in order to get the first finger available for tapping. But here, if I really want to do something like that, I've got these digits ready available. So that is my advice there. Big takeaway, said it a few times, try everything, see what works for you. Hold some picks on your instrument if you use picks, and have fun.